Anyway, today I'm going to bring you my short and sassy haircut, and I have Sierra with me today. And while everybody's jumping on, I am going to talk about how I sectioned my haircut. And as you can see, I've already done the back part of my hair. I do this only because it's a very simple process doing the back, and I have full faith in you that you can do this on your own. So let's start with the sectioning as people are jumping on, and please let us know where you're coming from. We would love to hear how far and wide you've come from. So when I sectioned this off, what I did was, first of all, I assessed the shape of the head. So taking my hands, I placed it on the sides of her head. So I know you're going to do this with your client. It'll just make them seem like you're really affectionate and you're loving them. So place your hands on the side of the head, and where the head starts to round, that's where you're going to make your first line. So I sectioned that off, combed that back, and then I did the same thing on this side. Place my hand where the head starts to round, excuse me, then I put my line in. Now, here's a little something you must consider when you're putting your line in. You don't want to take that line too far down, because what will happen is you'll end up with a little heavy piece here. So make sure that when you're doing your line, you get it behind the ear, but and it can be on a diagonal as well, because we're going to be working with diagonal partings. So once that was established, I then did the top section here, and I sectioned from this line to the front of the head, just above the parietal ridge, and that gives me my side section on both sides. I did the same, which just naturally will give you your horseshoe section on the top. So that's my sectioning. Very simple, nothing too difficult. The only thing I would say is really think about when you're placing the hands on the side of the head. So what we're going to do then, what I did was I divided the back of the head in two. I felt for the occipital bone, and then wherever that was, I did section a line here and a line here. Section those two top pieces out, and then I started my cut center back, taking my first section on a slight diagonal, working diagonal sections. Each section was brought back to previous till I got to the round of the head, and then where the head goes flat, I stopped. I did not move my body, very essential. I took my diagonal partings and I brought everything back to that point. Reason being, there's two reasons for that. One, she has obviously this big gap here. We all do. And I want to maintain that length purposely, because I want my length to work into my side panel. So it's really important that you have a vision of where you're going. That's why I feel like sectioning a haircut before you start is extremely important, because it keeps your lines, your sections, it's your blueprint for what you're going to build upon. So now that I've explained what I did to the back, I'm going to show you, this is a really cool technique. I love doing this. You can use this on your client. You can use it if you're competing. It's a very cool technique. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. So once the side is accomplished, I am going to use this last piece of hair. I'm going to use this as my guide. And this is going to give me the guide for my side section. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to go with a horizontal. Now my fingers are small, so what I'm going to do is, my fingers are short, I'm going to do this in 2 panels. I'm sorry my hand is shaking. I don't know why, because I'm always, woo, there you go, calm down. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that as my guide, and I'm going to cut my side panel. As always, I don't know why I get nervous for Facebook Live, but I'll calm down in a minute, I promise. Any questions so far? Okay, hold on, let me just calm my hand down. So I'm going to cut my first guide. So the reason I'm doing this is I choose this technique is, it's called a reverse layer. So instead of normally what we do, we come in, we can go in with diagonal partings, pull the hair back, cut that, and work all the way to the front, and that will give you length. But the cool thing about this is, what it does, it gives you the shortness at the top, and it maintains the length at the bottom. Now, if you were thinking of, say, a competition piece, this is a great way to do sort of a mullet look. And what I'm going to do is, actually just for showing you how cool this is, I'm going to take this little piece out. I'm going to clip that so you can see another way of using this reverse layer. And so everything starts at the top, and then you comb all this hair to that first guide. There. I'm a little more relaxed. Yay. So now we have this little amazing movement through the front. So now we have the short hair and we have the long hair. Here's another area in which you can use reverse laying. Reverse laying is very versatile, and I really love using it, especially now if you want, you're seeing a lot more movement through the sides. And it's a great way of keeping the hair flatter when you're going to do a disconnection. So when this hair falls over, we have these shorter pieces, so the hair falls flatter, and we're still maintaining length. And I'll take this off. So let's say you were doing competition and you needed these longer pieces. Now what you would do is you would go in and you would blend that. Now if you look at my haircut, for example, I have reverse layering because my head is shaped like I'm really skinny in this area. So if I lift this up, they've used reverse layering in my hair to create, I'll show you, a little bit of volume as well in here. So this expands it gives me a little more expansion on the sides. So that's another way you can use reverse layering. It's kind of a cool technique. So now we'll do side number 2. And we're going to we're going to use the last section of my back. And I'm going to, because my hands are small, I am going to cut a little piece. If you have long fingers, no problem, just go right ahead and go across. So horizontal partings, you're going to push that hair all the way up to the top, straight up, and then you're going to cut your guide. Hold on. Just a little bit of long hair kind of gets tangled. Any questions on what I'm doing? There we go. So each section is brought right up to the first section you cut. So what I'm going to do for safety purposes, again, I might cut this off in the end. I'm just doing it so that I can show you the difference, and I can show you the creativity that you can use with your reverse layering. So horizontal partings, push that hair all the way up to the top and then cut to your guide. Now, really think about this. If you wanted to do really cool, you could use like a cool mullet. You can use this, and you could go a whole lot shorter and then leaving the bottom disconnected, and then once you dry the hair, then you can blend it together. I was really excited when I learned this technique because I felt like it kind of opened up some doors for me. So there we go. There's your side layering, your reverse layering. I'll show you what so far. So here we have those side panels. So using your creativity and your imagination, you could see the potential for what you can do with this, especially if you love competing. It's a great little tool to use. You can also use it at the back and then have all the long pieces. It's quite versatile. So now we're going to, now that we've completed the sides and the back, we're going to talk about the top. The reason I love this haircut is because there's so much versatility with this cut, especially when we come to the top of the haircut. We can decide, for example, now that we have the back and the sides done, we could decide if we want to go from short to long, leaving shorter bangs in through the front and a lot more length through the back area. Or if you wanted to, you can section off the fringe area, put that aside, and then go through the back and cut this really short, leaving the fringe really long, and then once it's dried, then you can connect that together. The other option you have is, which I'm going to do today, I'm going to do horizontal partings, bringing everything back to my guide at the back. Now, you don't necessarily have to join this first section to your back portion. It's a matter of freedom, versatility, creativity. You can go a little bit longer, but remember when you choose this first piece to be a little bit longer, that means that your front, if you want to go from short to long, that's going to be, you're going to create a lot more length that way. Or if you want to, as I'm going to do, I am going to use this bottom piece as my first guide, because what I want to do is I want to go from short to long, and I want to leave all the length through the front dry, because I feel like it gives you more options, because once you cut it off, it's gone, and so it limits you. So it's always nice to give yourself options. So what I'm going to do now is my first section. I'm going to comb all the hair. Thank God it's a mannequin and not a human. So I'm going to comb the hair forward, and then my first section I'm going to take on a horizontal, divide that hair back, and then I'm going to look for my guide at the bottom. Make sure you have you're working with clean sections. That's so important. And then I'm going to lift that up just a little bit. Let's be able to see the guide. That's important. I feel like when your fingers are short, it's a lot harder to handle longer hair, but we do it all in sections. So there's my first section, and then I'm going to bring my second piece back, and I'm going to lift that up just a little bit, because if I keep it down here, I'm going to get a really solid line. So I'm going to start lifting that hair out, up, and I'm going to cut that line. Because you have to think every action has a reaction. So I'm nervous, so I'm shaking, so that action creates this reaction. But here we go. I'm starting to put my line in, lifting a little bit, creating less weight. See, so now I'm starting to build it up. Is there any questions on that? Do we have anybody on? Anybody want to ask a question? Has anybody tried reverse layering? Does anybody love doing disconnections? I love doing disconnections. I feel that there's so much versatility with it. So here we go, section number 2, 3. Now, when I started this process with my mannequin, and it's what I do with my clients as well, I always love to start with my color first, with my haircut. And the reason I colored this prior to this haircut was because during the Facebook Live I wanted to do the haircut, obviously. But if I was actually doing this service on a client, I would definitely color, I would cut first and color after. Because here I'm seeing all my beautiful color going on the floor. But also, you can customize, So as we go, we're building up. I love the length that I have here. So now I've gone to the top of that crown. So I'm going to switch my body position. And now I am going to comb and disperse that hair a little bit. It's just to see how that hair is falling. And I like what I'm seeing. I'm just going to put my stand down a little because I'm trying to work with, there we go. I'm short and short fingers. So is there anything anybody would like to share about them doing their disconnected looks? Or are they into disconnected? Do they like doing them? So when I colored this, I'll talk a little bit about the color. When I colored my mannequin's head, my base color I started with, because I researched a little bit on what's popular fall and winter, and they talked about cinnamon and how cinnamon is a big color, a big trend for the season. So I decided I would do something along those lines, but with a little more brightness, because Lonza has such beautiful pre-mixed colors. So I went in with, I love going into their color charts, and I love using their pre-mixed colors. All the thought process of that is done for you, so you don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about what goes in what, or how many grams you're putting in. So I did a 5RRC and a C-mix, 3 inches of C-mix. So that's the base of my color. And then I don't know if you can see all the different colors in there. So then I sliced and used a colorizer and 30 volume. And then I let that process, and then once that was finished, I thought I wanted something a little more vibrant. So I decided to use the Vibes. So I used Vibes, orange Vibes, blue Vibes, and did I say yellow, blue, orange, and a little bit of red. And then I mixed some healing color as well, just as a softer color. And once everything was processed, rinsed it, and it looks like I have lots of dimension. So now I'm starting to get closer to the fringe area. So what I'm going to do with that, as I pull the hair back, I'm going to start gaining a little more length. And in order for me to do that, I need to concentrate on exactly how far back I'm pulling that hair and holding it. So I don't want to lose a lot of the length at the front because I want that flexibility of being able to play with the hair. So I'm going to comb that. So I'm starting to bring that back to the last guide. So everything from hair on in will be pulled back and cut. Now, this haircut, honestly, you can use, it is such a versatile haircut. You can use it on your client, you can use it on an older client, you can use it on a younger client. It's very versatile, and even if you're competing, and something that I love to do is compete, you can actually, depending on what you're doing with your collection, this, if you used, say, not harsher lines, but definite stronger lines, that's the word I'm looking for. If you use stronger lines, you could create something quite stunning with this haircut. So even with a younger person that loves those longer pieces at the front, shorter at the crown, you know, it's a great haircut. It's very versatile, and it's sort of I would say in the sense of age category, I think you could use it on whatever age category because it's so versatile, and it depends how you style as well. And of course, I mean, there are elderly people that would love bright orange in their hair, but you know, even with the color, you can be very, very creative and very flexible. So now that I'm at the end of this front piece, so I've cut I brought it all back to that one guy, keeping the fringe long. So this is my blueprint, basically. So let's comb this out, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is where it can be very creative. So what I would do at this point is I would dry this hair, and then I would go in and personalize it. So I'll show you. I did one, so I just want to show you the shape. So you can basically see the shape of the hair, the flexibility with this. I mean, you're not, a lady at 82 isn't going to want this hanging. But I mean, if you're competing and you want something really cool, so you would dry this and then go in and you will then customize it to the way you want. Your fringe, you can cut this short, you can cut it short to long, you can leave it all long, and then you can do definite lines through the sides, leaving the one side short and longer. So what I did was I completed this one. So this one, I love the color on this. I did some vibes and a little bit of blue. I left the fringe a little bit longer, and then I cut, it's exactly the same haircut as the one I just showed you, but here's the difference. The difference is, with this one, I wanted it to hug the head, So with that one, with my previous cut, what I did was I used horizontal partings, brought it to hair, then brought everything back to hair. So I'm going to get a heavier feel to that, whereas with this one, I did the same thing at the back, the sides, except I didn't leave the long pieces. But how I changed this was, I still used the back as my guide. I cut from short to long was my first section. And then what I did, because I wanted this to, see how it's hugging the head a bit, and there's more movement with this. So exactly the same haircut, but using the top to play with differently. I cut it from short to long, and then I pivoted, bringing each section back to previous, but pivoting all the way around. And I did exactly the same thing on this side. So I started in the center and then pivoted using diagonal partings all the way till I ran out of hair. And then I went in, I blow dried it, and as you can see, there's a lot of texture. So for me, when I'm doing this haircut, I like to talk a little bit about product, because it's important for your finish, especially if your client, some people like the volume, some people like it smooth. But I mean, when you put all that work in there, you want to see a little bit of that. So what I do is I go in with my Root Effects. Root Effects is amazing. It has bamboo in it. So what it does, you actually see the little nib on it. So you put that in at the root area, and because of the bamboo, it gives a lot of rigidity. So you're going to get that nice volume, as you can see in that hair. I blow dried this yesterday, and I can still get that volume in that hair. And then on the ends, what I did was I used my keratin healing oil on the ends. So it gives it a nice shine. It still gives it a little bit of volume, and it's adding a little bit of protein to that hair. And then I blow dried it, and then after I blow dried it, I put a little bit more of the keratin healing oil on it, and then I straightened it so I can get a sleeker look. And I blow dried it with my round brush, and then I went in with it, and I'll show you I love this hairspray, the lustrous hairspray, because it's a workable hairspray, and so you can still see all that movement in the hair, and I can still move that hair and it's not stiff, especially if you're working in front of a camera or you're doing a competition piece. This hairspray is extremely flexible because you can work with it and the hair will still move. So see all that movement. So this is what, with the reverse layer, the short pieces and then the longer pieces, so that gives you the flexibility, and the diagonal forward sectioning, you can see the results of that, how that hair pushes forward. And you can also see why I needed that long hair, because now that joins in with the side and it gives me that fluidity from back to front. So this is what you can create. You can do it. You can use your imagination. You can use the long pieces. You can do square. You can do horizontal. You can do diagonal sections. The possibilities are amazing. And you can use, this could be cut on an elderly lady. This can be cut on young people, because you can cut it according to age category. Is there any questions, anything anybody would like to say? All right, I am going to finish my piece I will finish this one and I'll post it on my Instagram. I'll show you the finished look with the long pieces. See the difference? But honestly, same haircut. I love the diagonal forwards. It gives a lot of movement to the hair. And the difference in the heaviness at the top, you will see once I blow dry and I finish this, you will see the difference in how the hair falls. And the color really actually breaks it up quite nicely. So if you do this haircut or you try this technique, I would love if you would tag me on my Instagram